Boston Celtics just got screwed over by the NBA and the referees as they saw 3 technical fouls to not only Joe Mazzulla, but 2 to their stars in Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown in a significant moment of the game, which may have cost them the loss versus the Chicago Bulls. We'll be exploring that, Joe Mazzulla's comments after the game, and also some other exploratory reasons and why the Celtics fell to the Chicago Bulls in tonight's contest. All of that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. Welcome back, guys. How you guys doing tonight? Without further ado, let's get into the video at hand. Make sure to grab a snack. And like I said in the introduction, this is absolutely wild as we saw the Celtics go through and play against the Chicago Bulls tonight and unfortunately lose to them in a way that may have not been the greatest. If we want to dive into this, look at this retweet from Keith Smith. Courtesy of Spot Track. We obviously know there was a ref show on Boston night. If you watched the game, you saw it. There was some typical nonsense where the ref blew the whistle and where the ref blew the call and got into his feelings. Joe Mazzulla got up next to him and gave him a technical foul. It ended up being a 5-point Bulls run with 2 free throws and a 3, which changed the lead for the Celtics from a 2-point lead to a 7-point lead. This ultimately gave the Chicago Bulls a little bit of a run, a little bit of gain of momentum, and allowed them to crawl right back in. And if you were not watching the game, Joe Mazzulla received a tech, like I said, for touching the referee. And then after that, we saw Jaylen Brown receive a tech shortly after, and then we ultimately saw a player in Jayson Tatum get a technical foul a couple minutes later. Now, I previously recorded this video, that's why it's coming a little bit later, and I did have a clip of Joe Mazzulla, but I'm not allowed to include it in the videos, or else it will not, go and do well. So we got to take that out, and that's why I'm doing a second recording here. So unfortunately, there'll be no clip of Joe Mazzulla yelling, unfortunately, but Joe Mazzulla was very, very frustrated on the Celtics bench at the end of the game. When he got the technical foul, he was showing that visual frustration, and a lot of Celtics fans as well were showing that frustration tonight. If we want to dive in and look at some tweets here, this was the referee that was giving them the technical fouls. And if we want to look at this tweet, or a quote tweet from Jake Eisenberg, courtesy of the First of the Floor podcast, alongside Ben Veliz and Wayne Spooney, which I want to give them a congratulations for getting a big shout out from Drew Carter on the NBC Sports Boston broadcast tonight, as he was previously on their show. But ultimately, we broke down some stuff, we dove in, we obviously are going to be looking at this, and you could basically call them a POS, and I don't blame him. Basically a loser, and I agree with Jake here. It's just absolutely ridiculous that this is what we have to see. This is what we got to deal with here. But it's honestly ridiculous as Celtics fans that this is the ultimate overcome. And ultimately, this wasn't the main case for the Celtics losing. It was a big influential swing. Like I said, the Celtics were in a close competitive battle with the Bulls late in this game, or mainly throughout this game, as they struggled from shooting from three-point land from the start. Both teams ultimately struggled from three-point land. Celtics then found a way to score in the basket with driving with Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porziņģis, but ultimately it wasn't enough as the Chicago Bulls got hot late in the game from the third quarter. Zach LaVine was making some tough makes, Ayo Dosunmu was making some, Kobe White, Talen Horton-Tucker, and the Celtics were not limiting the Bulls' offensive opportunities as they were getting many offensive rebounds with Nikola Vucevic in the paint. The Celtics struggled to get some rebounds late, struggled with some defensive efficiencies, and it ultimately led to the Bulls pulling away here. But if we want to dive in and analyze how the Celtics did play in tonight's contest, Jayson Tatum was absolutely pretty solid tonight, 31 points, 12 rebounds, was getting to the line 7 for 9 from three-point range. Porziņģis was looking pretty solid in the second half. They were going to him. He was getting multiple possessions where they were just playing through Porziņģis. He was scoring from the top of the key, down low in the post, was making himself known in this game offensively and defensively as a rim protector early and throughout this game for the Celtics. Derrick White and Jaylen Brown did struggle from three-point range tonight, but most of the Celtics did. Jaylen Brown not having the most efficient fourth quarter tonight for the Celtics. And the Celtics ran with a tight lineup. Only 8 guys tonight. Pritchard was hitting some threes early on, wasn't really catching fire. Like we mentioned, Sam Hauser, Xavier Tillman were out tonight. Horford getting some running. Jaden Springer, the guy off the bench, getting some minutes. Got some early first quarter minutes, got some second half minutes as well, and made his impact known defensively as well. He's been known to go up against the Bulls and play pretty solid last season when he guarded DeMar DeRozan in those couple splits. So Joe Mazzulla felt comfortable going with Springer. Unfortunately, he did miss that wide open 3 that he did take, but it was nice to see Springer get some action and get some opportunities in this Celtics offense. Like I said, from the Chicago Bulls tonight, and like when I broke down in our episode on the podcast, Nikola Vucevic was going to be a problem for the Boston Celtics alongside many other reasons, but his rebounding and his control on the offensive glass is what kept the Chicago Bulls getting multiple possessions and getting multiple three-point opportunities in which the Celtics could just not get a rebound and not defend the post. And limitations with Kristaps guarding Vucevic could be to that. Maybe not having Xavier Tillman in this lineup also could have been a contribution, as he could have been another big that could have slowed down Nikola Vucevic alongside Al Horford. But ultimately, Vucevic was pretty solid, but he wasn't one of the better players. Ayo Dosunmu woke up in the fourth quarter, not only scoring from three-point range, but generating opportunities for his teammates, playmaking as well. And Zach LaVine was just on another tear, trying to bring up that trade market for him, as he's obviously looking for a new home, a new destination. He went absolutely off tonight, and I definitely think the Denver Nuggets should keep an eye on a player like Zach LaVine. But like I mentioned, Joe Mazzulla went absolutely off on this referees. Celtics did get screwed by them, but ultimately did have some other problems as well tonight. Defensively struggling late in the second half. Had a great start to the defense in the first half, but second half, letting the Bulls get multiple opportunities, letting the Bulls get multiple offensive rebounds, definitely led to the Celtics' fall here in tonight's contest. Added on to the fact that a big momentum swing was shifted when the refs screwed over the Boston Celtics. But we're going to get into what Joe Mazzulla had to say. So drop down your thoughts on the comments on the game. But let's get into what Joe Mazzulla had to say after this contest, because it's absolutely hilarious and we need to break it down. Like I said, wish I could provide the clip for you guys of Joe Mazzulla kind of talking and going crazy. But we got two quotes here from Jared Weiss. And Joe Mazzulla explained why he got the technical foul. He claims that he can't be on the court. Ref's got to do his job, and when I was on the court, and that's it. And therefore, he understands. But honestly, Joe was very vocally frustrated when he did receive the technical foul, which I don't blame him. It was kind of ridiculous. But after the game, we saw Joe Mazzulla cursing out the ref, yelling at him. Emil Johnson, Sam Cassell, Celtics assistants, had to hold him back. And this is what Joe Mazzulla had to say when he was saying what he was saying to the referees when he was asked. He said, I just hadn't seen them in a while. So just a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday. He said he couldn't miss a chance to tell them Happy Holidays. And that's what I love to hear out of our coach and Joe Mazzulla. Honestly, a little bit of a clapback, a little bit of funniness to go along with some sarcasm is always great for the holidays. And also great to hear from our serious coach. I know I tweeted out once Joe Mazzulla received the technical foul that I really wanted to see what he was going to say, what he would vocalize about this post game, because I wanted to see his instant reaction, and I was not really expecting this. I was expecting more of a serious, more frustrated type of tone, but the fact that he can, obviously be frustrated, but kind of clap back and be in a non-serious way, but show that because he's not being serious, that means that he actually cares, is the funniest thing I think any coach can do. And truly, it speaks to the instillments of the resilience instilled in this team from top to bottom, the intensity that this squad does bring, and ultimately how much they truly do care, as Joe Mazzulla really wants to win every single game possible and wants to put the Celtics in the best position possible every single night. He's going to leave his blood, sweat, and tears on that clipboard, making sure the Celtics produce the right way. And if that's getting in front of the ref, that's trying to block a shot, if that's him getting vocal in some press conferences, I want to see it. But shout out to Joe Mazzulla. Absolutely utter display from the referees tonight was a display of debacleness, and I can't believe Celtics fans had to witness that tonight. Unfortunately, they do fall to the Chicago Bulls, but like I said, on Saturday, they do take them on once again in Chicago to get a little bit of a bounce back, so we'll have to see how the Celtics will respond to that. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, how you guys ultimately feel about this Celtics team. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your night, and go Boston Celtics. Peace out, everyone.